In Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3 Episode 2, titled Wedding Bell Blues, the crew of the USS Enterprise ends up in one of their most bizarre adventures yet, thanks to a reality-warping space god from the original Star Trek series. This episode isn't just funny and lighthearted, it's packed with nostalgic callbacks, emotional breakthroughs, surprise cameos, and major hints for what's next. Let's break down everything that happened, especially the chaotic ending, in simple and detailed terms. It all starts with Lieutenant Spock and Nurse Chapel, whose awkward romantic history takes center stage again. Spock still has feelings for Chapel, but she's moved on and is now dating the very charming Dr. Roger Corby. The episode kicks off like a rom-com, with Spock trying to cope with the fact that Christine has been away for 3 months with Corby and returns to the ship even more in love with him. Meanwhile, the crew is busy preparing for the big celebration of the United Federation of Planets' 100th anniversary. But everything takes a weird turn when reality suddenly shifts. Instead of a formal ceremony, Spock and Chapel are somehow getting married. This wild twist is not just random. It turns out there's someone behind it. An old-school Star Trek character named Trelane. He was a godlike alien introduced in the original series episode, The Squire of Gothos. In Strange New Worlds he's played by Rhys Darby. Although the episode never directly says his name out loud, everything about the character screams Trelane. He shows up disguised as a flamboyant wedding planner, and he grants Spock's secret wish for a second chance with Chapel by altering reality itself. Suddenly, the two are trapped in a fantasy where they're engaged, and everyone else just plays along like it's totally normal. But Trelane isn't doing all this out of kindness. He has a personal grudge against Roger Corby. Possibly because he's jealous of his good looks, or because he finds his work, digging in the dirt, boring. Whatever the reason, Trelane is fully invested in ruining Corby's love life. He even turns him into a dog during the wedding ceremony, just for fun. Despite all the comedy, this raises the stakes. This isn't just a fun misadventure. Trelane has the power to rewrite reality, and things could easily spiral into disaster. The writers were very careful not to mess with the timeline or Star Trek canon. In the original series, the Enterprise crew meets Trelane for the first time later on, so this episode cleverly avoids breaking continuity. How? By showing Trelane in different forms. To Spock, he looks like a Vulcan wedding planner. To other crew members, he appears as an Andorian. The audience sees his real form, a human-looking, quirky guy, but the crew never does. So technically, none of the characters will remember meeting the Trelane from the original episode. Things get even cooler and more nostalgic when Trelane's dad shows up, and he's voiced by none other than John de Lancie, the actor who famously played Q, another iconic space god from Star Trek, The Next Generation. This surprise cameo sent fans into a frenzy. The show doesn't outright say that Trelane is part of the Q continuum or that his dad is Q, but by casting de Lancie, the writers are clearly teasing that connection. It's a fun nod without making anything too official. Plus, it gives longtime fans a reward for paying attention to Star Trek lore across decades. As things heat up and Trelane gets more aggressive, Spock realizes he has to snap everyone out of the illusion. But Trelane's grip on reality is strong. It's only when Roger Corby insults Spock and makes him angry that something clicks. Spock starts to suspect that emotions, especially intense ones like anger, might be the key to breaking free. That insight pays off during the fake wedding. Spock uses a heartfelt quote from a Pablo Neruda poem, the same one that made Chapel fall for Corby, and it hits her hard. She starts to remember what's real, and the illusion begins to fall apart. It's a bittersweet moment. This was Spock's chance to win her back, but instead he uses it to set her free. It's his way of saying goodbye and showing how much he's grown emotionally. He's no longer the Vulcan who struggles to understand love. He's someone who can feel deeply and still choose what's right. It's the romantic gesture Spock always wanted to make, but now it serves as closure rather than a reunion. Meanwhile, other crew members are dealing with their own emotional arcs. Lieutenant Erica Ortegas is clearly not okay. She's still struggling with the trauma of her near-death experience with the Gorn 3 months ago. Her behavior is more aggressive, especially during sparring sessions with her brother Beto. She can't even enjoy the dance party and walks out when everyone's having fun. Instead, she ends the episode alone, punching a heavy bag, haunted by memories she won't talk about. Her silence about her trauma is worrying, and it's clear this storyline is going to build in future episodes. Spock, on the other hand, might be finding new romantic possibilities. After letting go of Chapel, he shares a surprisingly warm moment with Lieutenant Lon Noonien Singh. The two end up dancing together, and Spock notes a new lightness in Lon since she faced her fears with the Gorn. They seem to understand each other deeply, and while nothing is confirmed, there's definitely a spark. It's a surprising but interesting direction for Spock's character, showing that he may be open to love again, with someone very different from Chapel. And then there's Uhura. In the original series, she never really got a love story, but Strange New Worlds looks ready to change that. There's some serious chemistry between her and Beto Ortegas, Erica's younger brother. He's making a documentary about the Enterprise and clearly has a crush on Uhura. She seems into him too. They seek each other out during the celebration and flirt pretty openly, much to Erica's discomfort. Whether this turns into a full-on romance or just a fun side story, it's refreshing to see Uhura given a proper personal life and romantic interest. Plus, there's a little tease of future interactions with Montgomery Scott, aka Scotty, who's just joined the crew. In the original Star Trek movies, Scotty and Uhura had a bit of romantic chemistry, so this series might explore that too. But for now, Beto and Uhura are front and center when it comes to young love blooming on the Enterprise. To wrap it all up, Wedding Bell Blues is one of Strange New Worlds' most memorable episodes. It brings back a classic character without breaking canon, drops in a surprise Q-like cameo, and moves several character arcs forward. Spock finally lets go of his past with Chapel, shows major emotional growth, and possibly opens the door to a new relationship. Ortegas is quietly struggling with trauma, which will likely become a major plotline. Uhura and Lon both show new sides of themselves, whether it's through flirtation or quiet strength. And through it all, the episode manages to balance comedy, nostalgia, and emotional depth in true Star Trek fashion. This episode doesn't just celebrate the Federation's 100th anniversary, it also reminds us why Strange New Worlds is such a worthy successor to the classic Star Trek stories. It knows how to honor the past while giving characters new dimensions and surprising fans in all the best ways. And it's safe to say, after this wild wedding disaster, the crew of the Enterprise will never look at love or space gods the same way again.